Resident Evil Revelations splices the survival horror DNA of classic Resident Evil together with the new, brisker strain of Resi 4 and 5. The result isn't an Umbrella-style crime against nature, but a healthy, happy hybrid instead. An optimum mix of tense, creepy exploration and stop-and-shoot action, telling a tale of bioterrorism and unwise genetic meddling aboard an abandoned ocean liner.
Think these things got to Chris and Jessica?
I hope not.
Veteran Monster Mashers Jill Valentine and Chris Redfield return, though not as partners. They're both in the service of the Bioterrorism Security Assessment Alliance, which you may remember Chris is working for in Resident Evil 5.
A terrorist group opposing the city's development launched a bioterrorist attack.
The game is set after Resi 4 and before 5, in the wake of a bioterrorist attack in which the high-tech island city of Terra Grigia gets obliterated. Jill is paired with Parker Luciani, a husky fellow agent with a dubious Italian accent.
I guess the FBC couldn't cover up a mess this big, huh?
And Chris with Jessica Sherawat.
Slow down, Chris.
We're almost there, Jessica.
The story plays out in bite-sized episodes, each sandwiched between a TV-style recap and a cliffhanger ending. It's a fun format for the compellingly hammy melodrama of Resident Evil tradition.
No one could have lived through that.
Jill, you can't fight without a weapon. Just do your best to dodge.
Much of the early game is spent playing as Jill or Chris in search of Chris or Jill, scouring the ship of horrors with respective AI partner in tow. The new partners aren't hugely engaging, but you're at least not responsible for their safety, since they can't be killed. Still, you wonder how much lonelier and scarier the game might be without the sidekicks.
Parker.
One of the most atmospheric portions is one that also most resembles old-school haunted house-style Resi. Jill wakes up in a cabin and has to venture through the decaying luxury of the once grand cruise liner alone and unarmed. The pace alternates between slower segments like these, where the sinister ambience and occasional well-placed jump scare come to the fore, and punchier, fraught sequences where you, for instance, have to hold off waves of mutants while waiting for the elevator.
After this, we head for the chopper!
Like in Resident Evil The Mercenaries, the franchise's first foray onto the 3DS, the circle pad is used for moving and aiming, with the right shoulder button for snapping into a laser-sighted aim mode, and the Y button for firing. It's a comfortable, reliable control scheme that makes for tactical and deliberate combat in characteristic Resi style, holding up well even in the more hectic fights with fleshy boss monsters. Battles are taut, measured standoffs where you weigh the option of standing your ground to shoot an inbound enemy against the option of lowering your weapon to retreat to a safer spot. Revelations also supports the 3DS Circle Pro, bundled with some copies of the game. This add-on enables a more traditional set of run-and-gun controls, the left-hand pad for moving, the right hand for looking, with the left trigger to pop into an aim mode and the right trigger to fire. The biggest novelty is the Genesis device, a nifty handheld scanner that, in aim mode, detects hidden ammo caches and gathers data on enemy creatures, with health item rewards for the latter. The scarcity of ammunition and healing herbs makes the scanner a valuable tool, not a gameplay gimmick to use once and forget, and nicely complements the resource scavenging and inventory management that underpins your survival. Though most of the action takes place aboard the abandoned ocean liner, it's a diverse and expansive location. New pathways and shortcuts are unlocked as you explore, taking in a grisly kitchen, dusty dining room, and ritzy great hall with some submerged, swimmable sections later on. The environments look great, as do the detailed character models, especially those of Jill and the various barbed, bony or bulging zombie creatures. The visuals are among the finest you'll see on a 3DS. The 3D itself is also excellent. Revelations in 3D has a subtle, convincing solidity that's easy on the eye. While the story-based campaign is single-player, the score-attacking raid mode is optionally two-player cooperative, locally or over the internet, or single-player. Here you take on portions of levels from the campaign, sweeping areas clear of enemies as fast as possible. This fast, more aggressive companion to the main game is focused on loot drops, in the shape of weapon upgrades, and earning experience points to level up. It's a fun sideshow, and tellingly as substantial as the entirety of the similarly score-chasing Resident Evil The Mercenaries. Where Mercenaries was a meagre thing when packaged as a full game, Raid Mode is a great extra to round out the Revelations bundle.
Oh, great.
With around 10 hours of action in your first playthrough, Revelations is a sizable adventure, and after completing it there's a much tougher difficulty mode and the option to replay with all the gear acquired in your first playthrough. That's a nicely chunky offering for a portable game or otherwise, from a Resident Evil title that holds its own against any other of recent years in any format. Revelations is a thoroughly successful crossbreeding of old school chills and new school action.
Don't tell me that was the tugboat.
Shit, we'll be stuck here. Kill!